Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go through all the types of problems you might see to help you finish your completion folder. If you can do all these, you should be able to finish all those problems. So for the first one, what I'm going to do is get that 2/3 k by itself by subtracting 10. I'm going to add 10 to both sides. So I have 2/3 k equals 10 plus 8 is 18. Now, when you see this problem, I think the easiest way to deal with it is to realize that's k over 1, so it's actually 2k divided by 3. If you put the k in the top, oftentimes that seems to help people. Because now we realize, oh, this is a division, fraction bar denotes division, so to undo dividing by 3, I'm going to multiply both sides by 3, and 3 divided by 3 cancels out, and now I have 2k equals 54. So then my last step, I need to go ahead and divide both sides by 2, and I get k equals 27. Second problem, I have to combine some like terms. So I have q's, -4 and -7 make -11q. And I also have 6 and -5, so 6 minus 5 is +1. Kind of an equal sign. Next thing I'm going to do is subtract 1. And I have -11q equals 11. Last step, divide both sides by -11, and you get q equals 11 divided by -11 is -1. You could try this next one a couple different ways. Some people would like multiply both sides by 2. That works, but I'm going to guess most of it distribute, so I'll do that. 1/2 of x is half of x, and 1/2 of 14 is 7. And now it's a two-step equation. Subtract 7, and you get 1/2 x equals -13. Again, if you write this as x over 2 equals -13, it seems to help people realize that the last step now is to multiply both sides by 2. And you get x equals -26. Similar problem here, but I have a quantity in the numerator, so I'm going to still multiply both sides by -3. I'm trying to undo, I'll put that in parentheses, trying to undo division, so those cancel out, and now you have 2x plus 5 equals 1 times -3 is -3. Two-step equation, -5, 2x equals -8. So when you divide both sides by 2, you get x equals -4. Those are multi-step equations, pretty straightforward. Let's try some now that have some variables on both sides. If you see you've got parentheses, first thing I want to do is distribute. 4x minus 7 equals 4x minus 2. Wait a minute. If you subtract 7 from something, 4x, and you subtract 2 from something, 4x, you're never going to get the same thing. So I'm going to keep going though. I'm going to get all my x's on one side. Wait a minute. They cancel out on both sides and you end up with no variables. -7 does not equal -2. That's not true. This is actually no solution. There are no x values that work. These are parallel lines. If you were to graph 4x minus 7 and 4x minus 2, they have the same slope. They're parallel lines. They're never going to intersect. So there are no solutions. Let's try another one. 16x minus 24 equals 16x minus, wait a minute, that's the same thing. So if I keep playing the game here, I get -24 equals -24, which is always true. There's no x's, that's always a true statement. So this one is infinitely many solutions. You might have caught it at the beginning, but the way I know for sure is I have a true statement at the end and there's no variables. These are the same line. It's the same on both sides. So whatever you plug in the left side is going to work on the right side. All x values work. Let's try one where I've got to undo this division. So I have to multiply both sides by 5. And I end up with 30 plus 6x equals 10x. Now I'm going to get all my x's on one side. So you can move it either way. I'm going to subtract the 6 x's. I like to move the smaller amounts, but algebraically it doesn't matter. 10 minus 6 is 4x. So now the last thing that I need to do is I need to go ahead and divide both sides by 4. And if you divide this side, 30 divided by 4, you could write it as 15 over 2 as a reduced fraction, or you could write it as a decimal, 7.5. Those answers are both okay. If it specifically says give me a fraction or a decimal, then make sure you pay attention to the directions. One more with distributive property. 4x plus 10 equals -7x plus 87. Let's collect all our variables. I have 4 and -7. -7 is smaller, so I will do the opposite and add 7x to both sides. Now I have 11x plus 10 equals 87. Next up, I'm going to subtract 10 on both sides. It's a two-step equation at this point. And then lastly, divide both sides by 11. So x equals 7. Variables on both sides. Okay, what else you got? Proportions. All right, so we're going to cross multiply. So we're going to multiply 5 times z and 12 times 4. And when you do cross multiply, you end up making a statement that says something like this. This is a true statement. Essentially what I'm doing is multiplying both sides by 5 and 12 at the same time. So now I have 5z equals 4 times 12 is 48. Then all I have to do is divide by 5, and I have z equals, if I do 48 divided by 5, I get 9.6. Okay. Let's try another one. Cross multiply. 8 times p is 8p, and then I have to multiply 3 times the quantity p minus 10. If you forget to distribute, you're done. You're going to miss it. So you have to remember you're multiplying 3 times everything here. So 3p minus 30, and on the left side I have 8p. Next up, I'm going to subtract 3p because that's smaller. And I have 5p equals negative 30. And last step, divide by 5. So I have p equals negative 6. Couple more, home stretch. These are a little tougher. You're going to have to distribute on both sides. So I'm going to have to multiply 2 times the quantity, x minus 4, and 8 times the quantity, x minus 3. If it helps you put parentheses there in the beginning, do that. Just a little reminder, you're going to have to distribute. 2x minus 8 equals 8x minus 24. Now we got to collect like terms, so I'm going to subtract 2x on both sides. And I have negative 8 equals 6x minus 24. Next up, add 24 to both sides, because you're subtracting, so the opposite would be adding. And if I do 24 minus 8, I get 16 equals 6x. And last step, divide both sides by 6. So you could say 8 thirds, 16 divided by 6, they're both even, so cut them in half, 8 thirds. Or you could say 8 thirds as a decimal is 2.6 repeating. Either of those are okay. One more to go. Very similar type of problem. I'm going to multiply 2 times k plus 1 and say that equals 6 times k minus 7. Now when I distribute, 2k plus 2 equals 6k minus 42. Let's get all of our k's on one side, so I'll move the smaller amount, minus 2k, minus 2k. And on the left side, I have 2 equals, on the right side, that's 4k minus 42. Next up, I'm going to add 42. So I have 44 equals 4k, and I'm almost there. Just divide both sides by 4, and you end up getting k equals 11. So that's it. Like I said, if you can do these, you can do your completion folder. Good luck.